Sorry, and I forgot to mention the main thing, of course, which is today there is the transmission of the 17 Panditas of Nālandā prayer. So Geshe will be doing that as well. Can everyone hear my voice clearly and okay? And again, and you can hear Geshe all right? And it looks like the video is good, so I think we are good to go.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's your congratulations, Deledo, Rososovita. Oh, that's our Pasova Kanga Pondroshi.
So first of all, greetings to all Dharma friends. Geshe hopes that all of your wholesome, beneficial activities are going well and that you are happy.
What Richie, Anton the Richin Ruchi, that's also there. And forget Nika to tattoo it, Deshi.
And so, of course, once again, the purpose of our gathering all together, sharing this time together today, is aiming for both temporary and ultimate happiness. And also, the first thing we want to do as well is recognize that this rebirth that we have, that this positive or happy rebirth that we have is something valuable. We want to recognize that. So if we look at the situation of the world today, right, we can see it with our own eyes, the various samsaric abodes of this world. And when we look around, that should give us a reflection, right, about how privileged we are to have this happy rebirth, and really that it provides us an opportunity to do good, to do positive. So, of course, we're going to run into problems. There's going to be difficulties that arise in our mind, but rather than getting discouraged, we want to bring forth a mind of contentment, thinking things are okay, things are good enough. We'll find that if we're able to be content, many of the more sort of everyday problems will naturally dissipate. So then, of course, the Buddha came in order to bring benefit to all sentient beings and also to help all sentient beings build on the foundation of what is already within them. So to recognize the foundation or seeds within them of love and compassion, and to give the instructions of how they can improve, how they can develop upon those minds of love and compassion. Sorry, the Zoom is asking if we are giving the teaching in Korean. So I guess that's kind of close. I'm just going to ignore that. Sorry about that, guys. All right. Okay, sorry about that. Oh, losugi. And so when we speak about this love and compassion for all beings in that vast sense, one thing to understand is that we actually we possess that love and compassion, at least in a latent form within us. So that those minds of love and compassion are a cause of happiness. But the caveat here is if we just leave them as a seed, if we just leave them as a foundation, a latency within the mind, they won't be able to be a powerful cause for happiness. We have to activate. And so, what is the reason that this love and compassion is limited? Because it's a love and compassion that is arising just on the level of appearance. And because those appearances are not necessarily reliable, then that love and compassion is limited. So, because of the limitations of these appearances, if we kind of place all of our hopes for cultivation and improvement in that, we are not going to So if we rely on these external appearances for our happiness as well, if we rely upon only on the level of appearance, just that level of appearance is not going to be able to give us a stable or meaningful happiness. If we want to develop that love and compassion, which is truly transformative, truly powerful, that love and compassion that we develop needs to be connected to a knowledge of how things really are, their ultimate mode of abiding. And this is the reason why we speak about emptiness, and the teachings on emptiness are sort of emphasized again and again. So in terms of how the teachings on emptiness can help us to kind of live more freely. If we take the example of a dream, if it is a frightening dream, within that dream there is a frightening appearance. We know that once we wake up and we realize it was a dream, that mental difficulty, that feeling of fear is going to dissipate. So with the dream, right, the interesting thing is we are both the creator and the experiencer of that dream. We are the creator and the experiencer of it. In the same way, all appearances that arise to us are ultimately in the nature of emptiness. And this is why it says in the Heart of the Perfection of Wisdom Sutra, the Heart Sutra, form is emptiness. So when we are able to comprehend the understanding of emptiness, then those appearances that are untrue will dissipate, and what is true will stabilize. Ale, losu. Ale, losu. Right. So what this understanding of emptiness is going to do for our development of love and compassion, it will be like jumping into a river and swimming with the current. It is going to carry us to be able to easily develop a more powerful love and compassion. And so in this way also we see that we need both method and wisdom. Both need to be stabilized. They depend on another. So Buddha Shakyamuni, he's said to have cultivated for many, many kalpas to come to his realization, but his realization really came by depending on these two, method and wisdom. So perfect method, perfect wisdom, this is what we need to cultivate. So only two things.
오다 대니 가서 라바이나 나로스 답하게 세던 저와서 차토바이나 오다 로로 소소용 기고 다시 봐. 예라요 기고 다시 봐. 되어 나니 바지라요. 대켜서 치모로 왔어.
So if we are able to mix these teachings with our mind, we will be able to reach the state of perfect happiness. And not only that, we will also be able to guide others towards developing that perfect happiness.
오다 손지고 다 침, 다 야 유세는 배자 뭐로 왔어. 용서 주바데 저 대니가 다시 주주래 되어래.
So, of course, within the Buddha's teachings, there are many, many scriptures, many, many volumes of a text, but we can say that all of them are aimed at developing these two, method and wisdom.
오다 디디 알랭에다 텐디시 다들 있어.
So that was just the beginning preliminary meditation. So we'll just take a moment now in order to be able to relax our mind. So I want to turn the sound for musicians on. Just give me a moment.
오다 리세시와 가지 더더 달래지기 선바지.
So just think I'm going to place my body and my mind in a relaxed state.
롱그세 가사 가는 돈에 다 될라되는 모두 뭐 나는 처음에 처음보다 대 배도 먼저 강같이 드늘 다 리세시와 중앙에 자녀 발레레 되기 선바지.
So then think from the mind going out to many objects. This leads to distractions, to namtok, different kinds of mental projection, and unhelpful thoughts and feelings. In order to calm this, I am going to bring my mind to the center, bring it into focus. This way, bring the four elements and the body and mind into balance.
발라 메비 자초 레레 무지가 다세 오다 드리지요. 자치 뭐 그요 받드리지요. 선바지.
Think in this way, the mind is calm. It is like a perfectly still ocean without waves, clear, profound, vast, and deep.
로로 소소 노도도 좀에비 초라 문다. 어 소노마도 와이나 세 코로가 루지 레레 쇼와 오토뇨가 몰라다. 오다 버스 세 버스 바지요. 선바.
When we are able to still our mind in this way, to stop the mental projections and the arising of disturbing thoughts and feelings, we're able to get a glimpse of the fundamental nature of our mind, neutral, equanimous, and peaceful.
치 루지라 뇽마메바 루지 세 코로가 루지라 주마 공기 주다 루지를 쉬우메 선바지.
So think that the nature of the mind, it's like clear water without particles. Rangjin Mesana.
세 코로가 몰라.
Mhm.
연인 예모도 주마도 던지고 루지 때리메 선바지.
Hence, the nature of the mind is not the stains or the afflictions. It is apart from that.
예모이나 로와 어다 소가 되자 노도 되자 강가 파코로 소시야 보잖아 강가 인도 로고 근데도 보지려마도 템포데토야 보지면 소마
Think the afflictions and disturbing thoughts, they are adventitious. They are not the nature of the fundamental mind. Therefore, our mind is not these negative things. They are like guests that are just temporarily inhabiting it. We can invite them to leave.
고로 중심이내려 요바데 좀바 타셔봐 이지 타셔봐 저와 타셔봐 원도 도야가 중지 자치 뭐지 요아리 다 디쇼를 봐 가서 터더 도토가서 이
This fundamental nature of the mind allows us to develop the qualities towards perfect love, perfect empathy, perfect compassion. Understanding the power of the fundamental mind, think, I will guide it to the development of these qualities.
구tro도 든지가 온게 노아 노네를 말로서 자도 예세 아무 뭐지서 되는 말도 대니비 니세라다 생제 여와메 로 여와메 봐 자침보도 드네 예 자침보 중중이 수바지
Think, it is because of these unpleasant guests of the afflictions that inhabit my mind that I perceive some sentient beings as friends and other sentient beings as enemies. By inviting those guests to leave, by clearing away those incorrect appearances, I can bring forth the attitude that sees all these beings as precious, close to me, worthy of happiness.
디셀라다 보게 솜바 좀지다 보게 쇼 도마메 반에서 빌랭에 디저 몸보지파 초바쇼와 공쇼와 노지파 다도요 소마
Think, through bringing forth these powerful minds, all of the negativities and obscurations accumulated from countless previous rebirths until now can be completely cleared away, like a warm rain falling upon a bed of snow and melting it away completely.
디저 바쳐도 집어 더발할 때는 리도 생활을 더 그용어도 다 자체와도 보다셔와 여보 좋아서 소마로
Think, through clearing away those negativities and their imprints now, my mind is vast, powerful, and peaceful, different than it was before.
요즘 예자치 뭐 전에 소마 노지다 들리 시워 땜보지 통화해서 어제지도 다고요.
I will make praises and requests to see all of those beings as close to me, as precious, just as I endeavor, just as I wish.
这지라로 차례지라.
So we're going to do the preliminary prayers now.
그때까지 빼자디요.
Tenpa chom tende deshin sheba dra chom ba yang da par zobe sangye ripa dang shab su demba dewar sheba jiten Gyemba Gyebuduwe Kalo Gyurwa Lana Mepa Ladami Namgi Demba Sangye Chomdende Pejawa Shakya Tubala Chazelo Chede Kyabsu Chiho Tenpa Chondende Deshin Sheba Drachomba Yandaba Zobe Sangye Reba Dang Shabsu Denpa Dewa Sheba Jiten Chemba Chebu Dewe Kalo Jorwa Lana Meba Ladami Namgi Tenpa Sangye Chomdende Pejawa Shakya Tubala Chazelo Chede Kyabsu Chiho Tenpa Chomdende Deshin Sheba Drachomba Yandaba Zobe Sangye Sheba Dang Shabsu Denpa Dewa Sheba Jiten Chemba Chebu Dewe Kalo Jorwa Lana Meba Ladami Namgi Tenpa Sangye Chomdende Pechawa Shakya Tubala Chazelo Chede Kyabsu Chiho. The mandala offering. So ji jeji meto chang rija lingji nidi gyamba di sangye shindu mede buwa ge joku nanda jinla che pa shu idam guru ratna mandala kam niryata yami. Refuge and bodhicitta. Chedan sogi chenam lai changche bardu dani kyabsu chi dagi chenyen gi pe sanam gi jola penshi sangi joba sho. Chedan sogi chenam lai changche bardu dani kyabsu chi dagi chenyen gi pe sanam gi jola penshi sangi joba sho. Chedan segi chenam lai changsho bardu dani kyabsu chi dagi chenyen gi be senam gi jola penche sange joba sho. So if we can pay attention to the activities at both the beginning and the end, if we can keep this in mind, this is very worthwhile. If we are able to do this, then what happens is whether we put a long period of time into the wholesome activity or a shorter period of time into the wholesome activity, we can ensure that it becomes a continuous cause leading to happiness, that it is not wasted. What we want to achieve, in fact, is not simply a new position within a different samsaric abode. We want to be able to ascend to an abode that is completely separate from, completely untouched by samsara or cyclic existence. So a field that is like what? A place that is like what? We can think of the land of great bliss, Sukhavati, of Buddha Amitabha, the fields of enlightened beings such as him. But in order to be able to do that in the most efficient way, we ourselves want to be able to achieve the same state that Buddha Amitabha achieved, the same state that Venerable Tara achieved, and so forth. We want to be able to get there by experiencing ourselves a happiness that is completely beyond suffering, and also reaching a state where we can guide others to that state of happiness which is completely beyond suffering. So in terms of achieving these Pure Lands in the sutra, there's various sutras about the visualization of the Pure Land and this becoming a cause for getting there. And then if we look, for example, at the tantric methods, right, it's even kind of more established. We first visualize Mount Meru, the continents, and then the 4 elements and so forth, and these being purified and giving rise to the mandala. So these kind of practices, they really have 2 purposes. First, of course, they're a way of purifying our own mind. Secondly, they're a way of purifying the abode of our future rebirth, purifying the abode of our future rebirth. And so in order to be able to get there, of course, we need to be completely separate from an abode which is connected to samsara. And this only comes through realizing that whatever the samsaric abode is, it is not something that is stable, not something that can lead to a meaningful happiness. And why is this the case? Well, if we look at the basis, right, of our samsaric body, we understand that our body is arising due to karma and afflictions. Similarly, the abodes, the places that they experience, the places we experience when we take rebirth, these are also arising due to karma and affliction. This is why they are dissatisfactory. And in terms of these contaminated experiences, when we speak about causes, we speak about karma and affliction. Karma is not the main one, right? It is the afflictions that are the main concern. So the function of these afflictive emotions or delusions, they are just simply, whenever they arise, they are states that cause unhappiness. Their function is basically they cause unhappiness, dissatisfaction. And even these days, right, the scientists and so forth, they are experiencing this. And this is the reason why right at the beginning of the session, we need to bring forth the mind, which allows us to distinguish a correct path and abandon an incorrect path, and the mind which will help us to abandon a limited path in favor of a vast path. And because those are not easy things to bring forth within because these are not easy things to bring forth within the mind, then as a preliminary to bringing forth that motivation, we have the training in the 9-point breathing meditation, in mindfulness and awareness of the breath, the 4 foundations of mindfulness, and so forth. So we are going to just practice that together for a moment. Think I am bringing my body and mind into a state of peace. Breathing in, I'm aware I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I'm aware I'm breathing out. And so to clean the air and the winds, what we can do is we can, in a relaxed way, inhale but fill up our lungs. Then we want to hold that for a moment and exhale. Hold that for a moment and exhale. The body, mind, channels, and winds are now cleansed. They are relaxed and peaceful. Think in the space in front of us is not an ordinary environment, but just as we discussed, a beautiful, pure land, beautiful, perfect environment. We can imagine that in the center of this pure environment is a beautiful throne upon which we invite to sit Buddha Shakyamuni. And then surrounding Buddha Shakyamuni are the 17 great panditas of the tradition of the great Nālandā monastery. As we gaze up to them, we realize that they are all greatly realized beings. Because in this series we will be looking at the works of Śāntideva, we can imagine that Śāntideva himself sits on a cushion in front of Buddha Shakyamuni and has the aspect of being pleased with us. We imagine gazing up towards the Buddha and the 17 Nālandā scholars. On our level are all 6 types of sentient beings, but possessing human form and gazing up towards the Holy One with minds of faith and confidence. Think in order to free all these assembled beings from suffering and lead them to every happiness, that I call the self, the I will ensure that it is able to actualize complete and perfect Buddhahood, full enlightenment.
Temba ngarosu, temba koroyina yo zo de inji shu chimbo chisa nga soga tela chus. Ta ngarosu da loa mejiwa, tende ta yo togare, da togare.
Thinking of the story of our teacher, Lord Buddha, it is said that before his enlightenment, the first place that he brought forth great compassion was in the hell realms. If this is the case, I definitely can bring forth this mind of compassion.
Bowa chimbo, ziri chimbo gato, ta poe, tende ta toga so yi soba kachi.
Based upon this understanding, it is so important to arise a courageous mindset as well as diligent effort.
And
So we'll pause there.
dia yari. Ah, yeah. Na tari nga zo te ta tari, zo te shinji chimbo. Shinji chimbo te jansi chimbo shawala koro yu mambo yo artene, koro go nyonyo kanga, ngarosu ma si te jatachi.
So our topic for today is the Bodhisattvacaryāvatāra, the way of the Bodhisattva. It is by this great Pandita Śāntideva. Śāntideva composed many texts, but it is said to be especially this one that where he speaks from his own experience. So there's many stories regarding Śāntideva and this text in particular. Some of the old hands, maybe you're familiar with these already, but we will share some of these as we go later on. So in a capsule, basically, the authorities at Nālandā Monastery had planned to expel Śāntideva, and his answer to that expulsion, in fact, was this text of the Bodhisattvacaryāvatāra. So we talked a little bit about the limitations of the level of appearance, right? The appearances that come to us and how this can confuse us. Well, it was based upon the appearance, the ordinary appearance of Śāntideva as a bad guy that the authorities wanted to expel him, basically. It is said that from his great study and practice of the teachings and his subsequent mastery of all of the of all of the topics of both sutra and tantra, there were only 3 activities that he engaged in, and this others found perturbing. So they were eating, sleeping, and defecating, right? So according to the ordinary appearance, that's all that Śāntideva really did. But of course, the monks were ordinary, their appearance were ordinary, so that's all they were able to see about him. And so, of course, then word gets around, everybody kind of teams up, and they all began to criticize Śāntideva, to see his faults. So thinking that because, he manifested like that he would be completely incapable of preaching the Dharma, they prepared for him to give a teaching, thinking this would humiliate him, right? And then this is the teaching that came,
어다 가르이나 지틀라 소바도 가르이나 다파 첸에 도매래 되어래. 서다들 두바도.
So he was a very highly realized being. This became clear as he gave the teaching and as he manifested various legs of magical emanation, in other words, miracle powers.
시엔주가 레게 타마 제발 레베가 뭐지 동네 토야코로요 말해. 가시 나잉에시요 그 가시라고 말씀.
It is said that, in fact, the last chapter of this text of the Bodhisattvacaryāvatāra, this was spoken when Śāntideva had already ascended into the sky. And it was only those possessing a miracle power of clairaudience related to the hearing sense that were able to get the full final chapter. And so it is this kind of perfection of practice and realization expressed in these pages that Śāntideva has passed on to us. And because out of these 17 pandits of the great Nālandā monastery, Śāntideva is perhaps, if not the kindest, one of the kindest. And so connected with that, Geshe will now begin the transmission of a prayer to kindle the three kinds of faith for the 17 great panditas of glorious Nālandā. So if you want to practice this, actually, it is going to be of great benefit to you if you do this as a visualization practice. And when you come to the end of each verse, you imagine that the particular pandit from that verse emanates lights and nectar, and that these enter your body and bless you.
다시 또 시라 같이 먹는 첨보래 되네. 천천히 되는 레 돈비깔고 대화도 이치되었다. 할레비 같이 먹는 첨보지래 돼. 니네 진짜래 돼.
So we always talk about the importance of wisdom or discriminating awareness, how key that is. But actually, especially in the beginning stages for us, faith, confidence is also something that is going to be really important. Kandes yarlevdi dene? Naki chola. Sherab depale kecho. In fact, according to the systems of the tantras, it is said that when a practitioner reaches a particularly high level of Vajrayana practice, wisdom, which was emphasized, actually faith will eventually eclipse that wisdom in importance. Yeah. So, I mean, of course we have to balance, but the point is, like, if we don't correctly use our wisdom and we're always doubting, we can never develop confidence in anything that is practiced, and in this way we won't come to proper. So now Geshe is going to so now Geshe is going to give the transmission of the 17 great panditas of glorious Nālandā. I've kept sound for musicians on because the way that Geshe reads it, this will help you hear better. So yeah, just listen carefully with an open mind. Is Kendrick going to be quiet or not? Yes, I'm. Zip. Gazon de je la de ke ba ja se shwa la la so wa de je ko je ni do me lo
说的这里这节开始开会中这家的边在把开始是我做了送完的，他这阿弥拉多小老师过着多记着的来着的，古中家的这边上的把边边公司家了送完的。上边几岁天气的那个来把别给家进了的家一路就努力西的送完现在东边下了送完的几年的。你懂所说的些多诺的这大山这把给钱你把这边给那边你下了送完的特别是那你多这把也得现在前面国家来些呢。我这罗米叫现在才嘛把水晶那边下了送我的些东西，前面那个来贡献多些家多些几路，
多新三季。
多些三几路个这路的，也得免许吃这多给的，这就这边下了送我的，他们个这来贡献说。也没大着没所着到见就去的，弄一这边把这泡泡吹的下了送我的。绿点结了，这一绿点头，么帮隔壁面我就都一时些，就上这边那边生意总不送完的，那我没得过的来的呢，他这也没绿就说他那嘛弄来都得给就吧，也得给这叫那送完的，那时候也得那边在那我的这没日的别为来。假期遇的来长的做就下个就下了嘛，做嘛那个特殊的三级干说嘛，六八八七八十家落得多在，古就特别就阿德下了说嘛，对吧？特当做的见这个特别不，我咱来先就呢就弄，我们些东西一起说大别大几没记住啊，相机了。没去那是等你的些别的是可以居多，就把俺前面注意，下次对吧？对他了，我找我做个生意了。就个年些他把天你们一个就劳动中老小那边说对说他对边，你就找我今么小三这把新疆了，现在这边就给天弄了把这种个怕着想不通，多几特别3年老高了，你把的了，你把相机了是吧？写完了是吧？那边的来到。解冻这边路多的，自己别了，写的钱弄动。从把的啦，下把写把书，你的更多提索写着就，下一定大路作用不一，东边开着那都别把人做的杀气大灯在这热的，天天都忙用做了啥了这，天天让着那姐姐哇也公布你哇，你都多着呢，弄个接生注意这些书。他这边的基地给他我的这个也没给这些。
So then this completes what we are calling the transmission of the prayer of the 17 scholars of Nālandā.
呀，在这些给这些，你是考虑他这里两个先去全部，可是我们那个印度查的，他这里那个是美国的人。
So then in terms of where we left off last time, we completed actually the first 2 chapters of the Bodhisattvacaryāvatāra. So this takes our discussion to the 3rd chapter of the Bodhisattvacaryāvatāra. So this is in the translation I'm using called The Full Acceptance of the Awakening Mind, and we are on page 10.
呀，他那个是嘛，上去就写用是属于那个送给他的。
So this is called The Full Acceptance of the Awakening Mind chapter.
这个对吧？他带了的呢，他可能听了那次做着我带了那次，那。
And we could say that within this chapter there are kind of 5. There are sort of 3 main topics according to the beginning, the actual topic, and the conclusion. So we could say that the preliminary, this is actually talking about the preparation. So the preparation is taking the vows of the Bodhisattva and recognizing how to keep them. Ale, di Jiangchu senpai dompa lenya di nge re, ruwa? Ngushi. Sorry. Okay, so we're going back. I'm not sure. It could be me that messed up. Maybe it was. It probably was. So then in terms of these three, so the actual practice, so number two, the actual practice is recognizing and taking the bodhisattva vows and learning how to guard them. But then in order to be able to take those vows, we need to accumulate a lot of merit, right? So the preparatory practice is that accumulation of merit. So that's number one. Loso. Yeah, Joe Lasa. Yeah. So then Geshe said that in terms of the accumulation of merit, this is done according to the seven branch or seven limbed practice. And sometimes Geshe is explaining that the 7-point practice is given as an 8-point practice. And if we are going with that method, then 4 of the 8 have been covered in the previous chapter, chapter 2, and the remaining 4 will be covered in chapter 3. And so then in terms of that first set of 4 that were covered, it's prostration, offering, confession, and going for refuge. Going for refuge is, I think, the extra one here. Yeah, so Geshe said also, we have the 7 Vajra points according to the Vajrayana situation, and then Gonda Karere. Right. And in the Vajrayana method, then refuge and bodhicitta are counted as 2 of the 7 points. So then in sutra, there is a greater emphasis on accumulation of merit. So if we go with a strict sutra approach to the 7 limbs, then refuge and bodhicitta are not included. So it's just different ways of counting them. Mari, jungdi. And so then Geshe would like to connect this text to the prayer that we make for dedicating for bodhicitta. May the precious mind of bodhicitta grow where it has not yet grown. Jangshu Semchok Rinpoche Mache Panam Chejurchi. So these are the practices of the text that relate to bringing forth bodhicitta where it has not been brought forth before. And these are connected to the first 3 chapters of Śāntideva's text. Yeah. And where it has arisen and declined, where it has arisen and declined, where it has arisen, may it not decline. Kewadi dene nyampa madroya dirwa. Yeah. Kewadi nyampa madroya. Yes. Dene di karish. Okay, sorry, I just want to make sure that, Okay, sorry, I just want to make sure that I have the prayer correctly. Jangshu Semcho Rinpoche in English. So, may the supreme jewel bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow. This is chapters number 1, 2, and 3. Kewa nyampa mepa yang karere. And may that which has arisen not diminish, is the 4th, 5th, and 6th chapters. Gonegondu Pewasho. Gonegondu Pewasho, but increase more and more. This is the 7th, 8th, and 9th chapters. And so this is a prayer of dedication, but we can also see this prayer of dedication as like sort of a mnemonic device for the 10 chapters of the Bodhisattvacaryāvatāra. Mnemonic is kind of a weird word. I didn't learn it until last year. It means something that helps you remember. Something that helps you remember. So Geshe said it's really nice, right? Because the Bodhisattvacaryāvatāra, fairly long text, fairly long, but it can all be condensed into this single verse of dedication. So as we come to this third chapter of the Bodhisattvacaryāvatāra, then out of those branch practices, it's going to cover the 4 that were remaining, that were not covered in the previous chapter. And so the first of those is rejoicing, the limb of rejoicing. Yeah. So all of us have experience of this, right? One of the minds that is sabotaging our happiness in this life is jealousy, right? Jealousy makes us really unhappy, and rejoicing is the antidote to jealousy. And it has a lot of assisting factors, that make us unhappy, pride and so forth. So a lot of afflicted minds, but jealousy is one of them. Jealousy is one. And it's actually because we can't rejoice, especially in the qualities of others, that jealousy is arising within our mind. So in order to purify the mind of jealousy and these other hindrances, we begin with the practice of rejoicing in the text. And it is also said that rejoicing is the supreme. We can't maybe directly see it ourselves, but it is really the supreme practice which allows us not only to accumulate merit, but also to enhance, to empower those merits already accumulated. Lama Tsongkhapa said the most efficient means of accumulating merit with little work, without having to spend extensive resources, is none other than this practice of rejoicing. Kawanere? So it's from one of the Lamrim texts. We're both not sure. It may be from songs of experience. It may be from songs of experience where, yeah. So the brief Lamrim, the songs of experience where Lama Tsongkhapa praises the power of rejoicing in this way. Yeah. Right. So rejoicing is something very important. If we are not able to do this, if we're not able to rejoice, this is a sign that there is some sort of obstacle, some sort of negative karmic obstacle that is hindering us. Midi nganso le topa kewa. Nganso midi le topa kewa. Yeah, nganso tes toa. Ko toa. Ale. Pe parobode. Yeah. Yeah, shekar. So when we rejoice in the virtuous things that others do, it is said that if the person doing the virtue has realization greater than ours, we're able to accumulate half of the merits that they accumulate through that positive action.
다 뭐저 잘키 좀 봐도 다 거기 자체 뭐 써요나. 나로서 아절을 좀 봐도 개와지라고 다 택해서 좀 말하면서 괜찮나?
So that's a great profit. If you think about it, that means that person who has greater realization than we do, if they make offerings to an assembly of 100 wise ones, we get the equivalent of making offerings to 50 of them. So that's quite a good profit for us.
다 파시로도 소소도 또 받지 말아야 돼요나. 내가 차송하지 더 그랬어요.
If the person who is engaged in the virtuous activity is of a same level of realization that we are, we're able to get the same amount of merit as they get from their positive action merely through rejoicing.
다 대송제도 중에 선바 용주고 수요하는 가지고 다 이치도 대화 요하는 게 당길라야 돼. 맨 다시 매어 등가지고 붙이요 말이야.
Yeah. So these are the instructions that the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas have expressed. So if we are able to have faith in that, then we'll be able to grow our practice of rejoicing. Other ways we'll kind of always be hindered.
다 던지지 다 너게 좋았어. 다 되지가 내가 레라고 깔레 매봐. 로스 매봐.
So this is a way to accumulate great merits by doing a practice that is easy, does not require great effort, does not require a spending of resources. So as we try to engage with the practice of rejoicing, if we see that we're hindered, if there's certain people whose good deeds we cannot rejoice in, this is going to show us that there is an obstacle, that there is some kind of negative karma in our mind that is blocking us. So, we can check how our practice is going when it comes to the end of the day, reflect on the days of activities. If there was not a single instance in the course of a day where you could rejoice in something, then this shows some sort of block on your part. It's also a source of merit, and as we know, it's important to keep this verse in mind. One who is endowed with great merit is able to accomplish their aims just as they wish. All right. So as we go through the text, what we'll find is in these verses about rejoicing, to make it kind of easier for us to cognize, Śāntideva starts with the lighter merits and goes to the greater ones. So let us go. Yes, let us go to the text. No. Semchen Kungi. Gladly do I rejoice in the virtue that relieves the misery of all those in unfortunate states and that places those with suffering in happiness. And so as we go through these verses, one way to think about them is you can think of 2 points related to each verse: a causal rejoicing and a resultant rejoicing. What are you talking about? So Geshe said that if we think about the unfortunate states, so now I understand what he was speaking about. I'm sorry, a little slow. So then now that if we think about these unfortunate states, right, we can think about like this is the place where you usually are. And in those unfortunate states, you are carrying a heavy burden. It's like you're always carrying a heavy burden. So having the chance to be reborn in a fortunate rebirth in a higher state, this is like setting down that burden for a moment, like being able to sit down and relax on an arduous journey.
다 델타 그레시고 돈바서 오지 바렌도와 델타 그레를 그 제용겨 벌써 수바지라 되네. 아니 나도 뭐 고버도. 고버토네 원니까 절로 다 걸어보게 거의 대화를 되네 그 대신하고 지요하러 왔어.
Yeah. So if we think about this first verse in terms of that cause and result that Geshe mentioned just before, right? The cause is that kind of moment of virtue that they have accumulated. And the result is being born in the state of a human or deva, in the higher realms of humans and gods.
그래서 어떤 리버디 다 되니까 통화대학 대신하고 대시들에 돼요.
And so that result also is the happiness that corresponds to those states, which is the happiness we can see with our own eyes and appreciate, right? But behind that always we need to keep in mind is the cause of the exertion in virtue that they had in previous lives to achieve that happiness. And as we rejoice, we try to do this without jealousy, with a relaxed but fully engaged mind. And this is going to make that practice of rejoicing supremely powerful. And so also, it's very important to start with what is close to us. So those beings, humans and other beings that are in front of us, when we see them engaged in virtue, that is the place to begin our practice of rejoicing. So no need to kind of dismiss those virtuous things we see every day and just rejoice in the virtues of like the things that we can't see, right? This is a good place to start. Yeah. And there's a lot of reasons to start there, actually. One reason is going to help us have better relationships and connections with other people. So that's one reason to start there. Tarpe. And so the next one is the cause and effect related to moksha, to liberation. I rejoice in that gathering of virtue that is the cause for the arhat's awakening. I rejoice in the definite freedom of embodied creatures from the misery of cyclic existence. So then in terms of this one, we are rejoicing in that state of liberation, of moksha, of the foe destroyers. So this can be the hearers, the Shravakas, as well as the Pratyeka Buddhas, the solitary realizers. We rejoice in their causes that they accumulated to be able to achieve liberation, those virtues, as well as their experience of the freedom of liberation itself. So then in terms of achieving, right, this state of liberation, this is not something that is at all easy. Right. We need to be able to defeat the mara, the dima of the afflictions to get there. So not at all an easy thing. So now we go next to rejoicing in the Buddhas, the cause of their awakening and the results of their awakening. Right. So then embodied creatures, Geshe is saying, embodied creatures. In Tibetan, it's luchen. It's literally like endowed with body or possessing body. I'd say it like that. Like this actually just is another way of saying sentient beings, migrating beings.
생제세나 시도 치 가지고 라바 있는 새도 된바 이제 생제세 요아 이나요 치드 치 라바 노지 강가 이거 말했다.
Yeah. So normally we would say this as semchen, endowed with mind, but here we are speaking of embodied beings. But in fact, it means the same thing.
리도 된바 이제 리제에서 미다 요아레스 생제라.
Because those beings possess bodies, right? They are embodied beings.
어딘지 봤지?
Then they suit me come then so.
나 어디지도 봤지. 진짜
디마레 되네.
어떤 저거 디와? 타와라요 써요아레. 경주라요 써요아레스.
So then we rejoiced in these the three types of liberation, and now we're going to rejoice in 3 points of Buddhas.
예티게 타와, 우자게 타와, 아니 대제게 타와.
Okay, so then in terms of liberation, we can rejoice in the liberation of the Shravakas, the hearers, the liberation of the solitary realizers, and then we come to what is known as the Mahāyāna liberation. And so in the same way, when we speak about enlightenment, we can speak about 3 types of enlightenment: the enlightenment of the Shravakas, the enlightenment of the Pratyeka Buddhas, and the enlightenment of the fully enlightened Buddhas. Yeah. So then that's what we mean when we rejoice in the awakening, right? Rejoice in the awakening at the spiritual levels. Sorry, in the spiritual levels. So, and with gladness I rejoice in the ocean of virtue from developing an awakening mind that wishes all beings to be happy as well as in the needs that bring them benefit. No, sorry. Yeah. So then these are the Buddhas that are the protectors of beings. So we are rejoicing in the virtues of the Bodhisattvas because this is the cause of that enlightenment, as well as in the result of that virtue, the full and complete Buddhahood. And when we speak about an ocean of merit, oh yeah, sorry, when we speak about an ocean of virtue, this is because the virtues that the Buddhas accumulate allows them to benefit all sentient beings. So that's why it's necessarily an ocean. So we can understand these verses also as related to the 3 scopes of the Lam Rim, right? We rejoice in the virtue of those beings who achieve higher rebirth, the small scope, in those beings who achieve moksha, liberation for themselves, the intermediate scope, and of those who work towards complete enlightenment, the great scope. And also, if we can extend this and just think all of the sentient beings, right, in those difficult situations, the people that we see helping, right, those that are seeking to help others, and we rejoice in this. This is going to be of great benefit. So we have finished in this way the section on rejoicing. And so the next one is to request the turning of the Dharma wheel, to request the turning of the Dharma wheel. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp of Dharma for all bewildered in misery's gloom.
다 손주도 손주 선바서 다 서야 도수야 살리 소소 쇼절 가.
그냥 걷는 전에 거기면서 소리 겨우겨우 저기도 세지가 저기 Geshe was speaking so fast, I literally don't even hear the words at this point.
야, 내가 서서 있다. 괜찮아. 손주도 야 그거로서 가와를 주요바 이나. 네, 쇼절 가와 주요바 이나. 너와 생제 요조 파 나윈다고 전에 말이 비가.
So then the Buddhas, wherever they are abiding in 10 directions, directing to their attention to the places of darkness, the places of misery's gloom, that gloom encompassing all sentient beings. In order to dispel that, we request them to turn the Dharma wheel. And so this can remind us a little bit about the story of the Buddha, right? That after his enlightenment, he remained for 49 days in silence without saying anything. Yes, and so then after those 49 days had passed, the Vedic gods Brahma and Ishvara, right, they approached the Buddha and they asked him to turn the Dharma wheel for the benefit of all sentient beings. And that is when he gave his first teaching. And so then the next one is the next limb, which is requesting not to pass into paranirvana. So requesting the turning of the Dharma wheel is an extremely powerful practice, because if we make this request with a sincere mind of faith and confidence, this is going to clear away the negativity of abandoning the Dharma accumulated from countless previous rebirths until this moment. Verse number 6, with folded hands I beseech the conquerors who wish to pass away, to please remain for countless eons and not to leave the world in darkness. Yeah, so it may be that there are conquerors who, due to various situations, they may think that perhaps it is time to pass away, right? So this verse is requesting them not to do this. So, you are of benefit to me, so please remain. I make this request for you to remain. So we can make the request very specific, that beings continue to abide in this state completely obscured by ignorance, completely vulnerable to the afflictive emotions. In order to dispel this, please remain in this world. Ale su laso. Du loso. Tene? Oh, right. Yeah. Right. So we can also relate this verse to the life story of the Buddha. And so this is, the famous story why people always are criticizing Ananda, right? So there was Amara, a demon who manifested, who said, the time for benefiting beings is ended. It is time for the Blessed One to pass away. And actually, when that was said, as the closest disciple, Ananda should have supplicated the Buddha to remain. But he was also under the influence of that demon. So he did not make this supplication. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pieta, yeah. And so this is one of the reasons why after the Buddha did pass into parinirvana, the Sangha, right, they actually expelled Ananda. They told him to go away for a time. And so there's like stories about this, kind of on a spiritual level, which might not be easy for us to understand immediately. Oh, Su? Lung. Loso. So then Geshe said that, in terms of requesting the Dharma wheel, very important. And he said, if you look at the text behind him, right. So Geshe said, in terms of the of who he has received many of these teachings from, it was from a great Lama of Drepung, who bestowed on him the complete oral transmission of the Sungbum, the collected works of the Yabse Sum. So this is Lama Tsongkhapa, Kedrubje, and Gyaltsabje. And so this particular Lama from whom Geshe received these transmissions, he actually returned back, he actually returned back to Tibet. As soon as he arrived, he pretty much passed away. His closest attendant was distraught and went to see His Holiness the Dalai Lama and said, I'm completely distraught. My teacher has passed away. And then His Holiness asked, did you ask him to remain for a long time? He said, no. And he said, this is your duty, right? To request the Lama to remain. And so this is why, for example, we can see it right in the live streams on TV and everything these days. This is why so many long life pujas are offered to His Holiness, for example. It's a request to remain. And it is said that actually if we are able to do this with a firm mind of faith to request them to remain, as a side effect of that, this also enhances our own longevity, our own long life. Yeah, so we don't need to do all kinds of long life practices. We can offer these long life pujas. So we'll go to verse number 7, and this is going to be the limb of dedication. So there's a couple of verses. The first of the verses of dedication is a general dedication of merits. Thus, by the virtue collected through all that I have done, may the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. So you see how this is very general, Geshe is saying. We're talking about every virtue, and we're talking about a result of basically clearing away every suffering, every pain. So this is why this is the general dedication. So then the next one is dedicating for the clearing of disease. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. So we can make this prayer specific once again, thinking of all the suffering and sick beings in the world, those who are not able to access a doctor. May they have a doctor. Those who cannot get proper medicine, may they be able to receive medicine. Those who need care, may they come under the care of a nurse. And when we think about Baisajya Guru, the medicine Buddha, right, one of many people's favorite deities, the arising of a being like medicine Buddha doesn't arise in the absence of causes. It arises due to the causes of dedicating merit in such a way. And then the next verse is dedicating the merits for the sake of those who are beset by hunger, beset by thirst, without shelter, and so forth.
시도 건지 차파데 지도 꼼비 네바 살 먹에 까밤 밤에체 너는 시도 거도 저
May a rain of food and drink descend to clear away the pain of thirst and hunger, and during the eon of famine, may I myself change into food and drink.
어다 손지 쪼된데 당근 많이 나요. 더네 철 줘봐 손발을 줘봐
Yeah.
그래서 어다 로지 뭐요
So it is said that, the Buddha, part of the unfathomable activities of the Buddha is that the Buddha can manifest as a body of water, he can manifest as a bridge, he can also manifest as inanimate things in order to bring benefit.
어다 된다고 된다 사야 몇 개를 사야 투야 몇 개를 투야 그래서 어다 된다 루소자 알때 되면 먼저나 제 도케진 와쇼 되는 거잖아 그래서
So transforming into food for those who need food, transforming into drink for those who need drink. If this is an uncomfortable dedication for you to make, if it doesn't kind of fit for you, think, may I be the one who provides the food. May I be the one who provides the drink. We can also practice like this.
어다 저기도와 어다 저기서 다 내가 요소
So the next one is dedicating for an inexhaustible treasure. That means to be able to become whatever each sentient being needs. May I become an inexhaustible treasure for those who are poor and destitute. May I turn into all things they could need, and may these be placed close beside them. So we want to become a source of inexhaustible necessities. We want to become like a precious, wish-fulfilling jewel to continuously be able to provide whatever each sentient being needs. Whatever they need, whatever they could possibly want, may I be the one who fulfills that wish. And so then in this way, we can think that we have concluded with the limb of dedication. And so the next verses following verse number 10, these are verses for improving our mind with the practice of generosity in the perfection of giving. So the holy beings in the commentaries, right, they specified that a lot of these things are not things that we can do practically to bring benefit. They're not activities that we can engage in to accumulate the merit of. But in fact, we still make these dedications as a way of training our mind to bring it up to the point of being capable. And so also these 7 limbs and the practice of dedication, remember, these are the preliminaries to fully accepting the bodhicitta through receiving the vows and also recognizing how to guard the bodhisattva vows. Yeah. So just think that we are kind of we've decided. Geshe says you're talking like him. It was a bit of breakneck speed. He says now you're doing the same thing. Sorry. So it is like we are planning to have a meal. It is like we are planning to have a meal. And so you need to prepare all of the dishes and the seatings and so forth. So that's what we're doing right now at this point in the text before enjoying the meal of bodhicitta.
So
Geshe said that in terms of what we have covered today, we covered this text, the Bodhisattvacaryāvatāra, as well as the prayer to the 17 Panditas of Nālandā. So we didn't get to Gampopa, but we will come to Gampopa next time. Specifically, we are on page 6. The 10 things to inspire yourself, the third in that list.
다 열라 디사는 저거 열라 제 가서 저거 이나 된다 열라 디디做와 와다 대초서 저거 중에 당가서 다 내가 제게야 제토야 조지데 단다 데레디아레스.
So in terms of what was presented today, right, it's the 7-limb practice. Sometimes we said 8 or even 9, but usually we speak of the 7 limbs. This is a way to accumulate merits and purify negativities. This is a practice that is absolutely accessible to every one of us. We are all completely capable of this.
다 차소야 보셔 자와라서 봐 강가 베지하고 또는 릴 뱀바 셀 뱀바 다 강가를 뱀바 가세요 야 보러 싶어.
And if we're able to do, for example, with prostration, not just the mental, but also the physical prostration, this is going to be something that is beneficial to our physical, our bodily health, as well as the accumulation of merits.
다 돼서 던질 리젤 단이라 샤차기 뭐
Yeah. So that's many people are into like different kinds of exercising. So, maybe people do prostrations for that reason, not ideally, but maybe that's the reason. Yeah, the teachers tell us don't have like having a more fit body be your main reason for prostrations, right? But Geshe said like really engaging with the practice of prostration consistently, it's a very good way to keep yourself physically fit. It doesn't require a lot of gym equipment either. So in this way, we have concluded everything that Geshe wanted to cover. So having concluded that, let us lift our hearts and dedicate the merit. Changchu semcho rinpoche mache panam chejo rachi chewa nyamba mepa yang gone gondu pewar sho tongni tawa rinpoche mache panam chejo rachi chewa nyamba meba yang gone gondu bewar sho jambe bao jidar kyamba thang kundu zambo deyan de jinte deda gungi jesu dalo chir gewa dida tamje rabdu ngo dusun shebe gyawa tamje gi ngowa gangla chodu ngaba de dagi gewe tsawa dikun kyang zambo jeji rabdu ngowa gi gangri rawe korwe jinkang de pendan dewa malu jongwe ne chenre ziwan tenzin jatso yi shabe side bardu tengyo chi.
소소 교와서 비다 니바도 tane shaye te ta thala tene no se ji rozu ta poe ge sabe pacha yapo sabe yapo ti se ya ta jalno.
So through all of the merits that I have collected, in addition to them being enhanced by the power of the objects of refuge that I have contemplated, may this ripen the seeds of virtue, the seeds of what is wholesome in every single last sentient being. Through these merits, may all of the wars, instability, and dangers of this world be completely cleared away. May beings be able to enjoy peace. So we'll pause there. And I always say that, as we come to the question and answer, if you need to get on with your day, please feel free. But if you would like to stick around for the question and answer, please do. And on that note, is there anybody with a question? Just trying to see if I can see anything in the chat. There's a number of people here. Oh, okay, I see hands coming up. So, Manoshi, is that you or is that Carol? I can't see who it is.
Both of us.
Is it both of you? Okay, so whoever would like to go first, but I'll get to both of you.
Carol, go ahead. That's fine. Okay. I just want to talk, I wanted to ask a question.
Sure.
So Geshe spoke a lot today about rejoicing. So we hear a lot about gratitude these days around here.
Yeah.
Is there, I mean, it's a subtle difference, but I wondered if Geshe could speak to the difference between rejoicing and gratitude, if there is,
Yeah.
If you could.
Okay, yep, I've got you, Manoshi. Ngansu Jesui rangwa korla mambochi laoswa rwa ine Manoshi sana Jesui rangwa dang kanrin siya kepar kandes chikyeres. Ngansu midi kanrin chempo yins rwa ngansu ropa chesa dang dinso chikyeres. Dinso nigi sem kepar kandes chikres. So Geshe said if the gratitude is something that is falling into a virtuous direction, he certainly thinks that you could consider that gratitude as a type of rejoicing. So we could say that all forms of gratitude could be considered rejoicing, but not all forms of rejoicing can be considered gratitude. So rejoicing, just in a very simple way, is just a mind that thinks that person did something that is really good, that is really worthwhile. How wonderful that they did that thing that is really good, that is really worthwhile. Yeah. So Geshe said gratitude, as he understands it, it's like that person has helped me, right? That person has helped me, and I really appreciate that, how wonderful they did that. So we can definitely see that as a type of rejoicing, but it's a specific kind of rejoicing. Yeah. Oh, so Geshe was saying that, but the gratitude we have to have, it should be in something wholesome, right? It should be something tending towards the wholesome that the person did to help us. If it was something unwholesome, we can't really consider that rejoicing, pardon me. If it was something unwholesome, we can't really rejoice in that. But if it was something wholesome that they did to help us, then we can consider that gratitude a type of rejoicing. Yeah. And so, yeah, it depends on our attitude, the action itself, whether it can become a good form of rejoicing or not.
I guess I also wondered if with gratitude, there could be a danger potentially of a bit more self-grasping, because it's grateful for what you've done for me, kind of thing, or what's happened for me, or the good circumstances that happened for me. So it could be a bit tricky.
Yes, no, I got you, Manoshi. Yeah, nganso kanrin chenpo yin samlo tangna rwa, di kanrin chenpo siya di rwa nyenga tets di karin sena ngarangi che di cherangala chik ropa che suwa rwa, deni di nganso tangzingi chok la droya tes le lawa dabore rwa. Yeah. So Geshe said those factors are a consideration, certainly, but if it was a wholesome thing that the person did, then feeling that gratitude is a form of rejoicing, and we can see it that way. So Geshe said, actually, so generally, actually, there's many types of virtues that can be connected with the type of self-grasping. So this mind of gratitude, this mind of rejoicing is one of them. So that limits the positive potential, but it's still a positive practice of rejoicing. If the activity they did to benefit us was wholesome, right? That's the caveat. If they did something negative, sinful to help us, then rejoicing in that, and the profit we came to it, that's what we would call negative rejoicing. It's something that we don't want to do.
다 게이쇼를 지세요. 너는 겨와 팬도야. 뭐 게이쇼를 지세요. 저는 뭐 겨와 팬도야. 다 니가 된 말이야.
Negative rejoicing leads us to the accumulation of unwholesome karma, whereas rejoicing in what is virtuous and positive leads us to the generation of wholesome karma. So here, rejoicing, we have to understand the context here. It's all about rejoicing in what is wholesome, in what is positive. Yeah. Yeah. So that's Geshe's comments on that.
Thank you.
Manoshi, did you get an answer to your question?
Yes.
Okay,
Sure.
you did.
That's
All right.
helpful. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Okay, so I think we'll go to Carol next and then Rebecca. Go ahead, Carol.
If I'm correct, Geshe said, there's an echo, is that okay?
I can't hear it. It's all good.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's afflictions that are the main cause, not karma. So is that because whether afflictions are present or not, the karma will ripen? If I heard correctly.
So you're wondering, okay, because we said out of the two causes of suffering.
No, wait a minute, I used the wrong word. The main concern, that afflictions are our main concern, not the karma.
Right. And sorry, Carol, you're talking about when Geshe was talking about the two causes of suffering, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he said afflictions are the main concern, not karma.
Not karma.
I think he said that. Could he elaborate on that? Is that because afflictions allow the karma to ripen or not?
I see. Yep. I've got you. Okay. Nganso dungel gigyu le dong nyumong re du. Ine le di tso mares donang tesa tso nyumong res. Donang tesa tso tso nyumong degide. Karin sena nyumong la tene nganso bakshak duksha denso min tugires nyumong tso yimpe gyumsen karere.
Nyumong tso yimpe disete jattambo sabe kalayo nyumong tso chire. Ajima pacha ya se leka chekete nyumong tso re.
So Geshe said it's both, actually. So the affliction is what leads to the negative karmic action. So causally, the affliction arises before the engagement with the action. But you're absolutely correct in that the affliction arising is also ripening the imprint or the karmic latency, which leads to suffering. So yeah, that two ways of looking at it. So if we think about somebody who has realized emptiness, who's given rise to the wisdom realizing emptiness, there still may be negative imprints, right? Unwholesome karmic latencies in their mind. But because of that realization of emptiness, there's not any affliction arising that can ripen those imprints into suffering. Yeah, so that's why Geshe kind of jokes that this realization of emptiness is like a getting free out of the consequences of negative karma card, like a get out of jail free card. So when one is realizing kind of emptiness in a very refined way, these are some of the many benefits. Yeah. So even though there's no way we're going to be able to confess and purify every single negative karma that one has done. But through the wisdom realizing emptiness, by seeing the way things really are completely clearly, through the power of that, those negative imprints are rendered incapable of bringing forth a result. Sorry, Geshe said one thing that I left out in the previous bit, which is it's like having the seed but no water or fertilizer. In other scriptures it says that the wisdom realizing emptiness is like a great fire which scorches the seeds and renders them completely incapable of sprouting. Yeah. Did that answer you, Carol?
Yeah, thank you very much. I have another question, but I can ask it later if you like.
Yeah, well, we have 2 other people waiting, so if you want to circle back, is that cool?
Sure.
Okay, awesome. So I think Rebecca and then Annie, and then we'll go back to Carol. Go ahead, Rebecca.
Hi there. I very much appreciated today. It was really wonderful. I just very much appreciated it. In the very beginning, Geshe was discussing a dream.
Yeah.
And said that we are both the creator and the experiencer of the dream.
Yep.
Then he said, it's like jumping in a river and swimming with the current, which is like understanding that the world is an illusion and empty. And I guess I don't get that.
Yeah. I know what you're thinking. Yeah. Let me just make sure that I'm understanding the context correctly, Rebecca. So it's that thing about that dream where the creator and the experiencer, in terms of the appearance, the jumping in the water was emptiness as being like a current, which helps us develop love and compassion. Is that the jumping in the water you're understanding? So you're not sure how that works, right?
Yeah, he said that you jump in a river and swim with the current, which is like understanding that the world is an illusion and empty. And I guess I don't get that at all.
You don't get that at all. Yes.
Sorry about that.
No worries. No. I just no. I got you. No, I just wanted to make sure that I got your question. Yeah, let me ask this. Nganso perna ngema nganso milam kapla nganso milam sugin tang milam nyongen niga dapo chikre duas di chikche ine di jela a chu chikyona nganso chu gi shuk de la tene roa tompani ngosinya di shu chuk chambo dabo chik pardroe le lapo chik yores kodi chikyan komasu chu gi netsudi nga chena tompani kene de nganso jampa dang ningje le lapo ke tu be dabo chik roa Tsangpo chikyona roa te chu chik drogi yore nganso tes mato betsu cheko mare di dabo re mare be Karinsa na soso lavswa chudi chu chok chik drona de nganso chugi nupala tene sacha jenda chi ke tugires ya che tsang
te se ni pa kanga shu chi tu pune le zo jing go le shu ja ta ba yina
dene tombani chu chi yina di chugi nupa dene dela tene share to then de la tene jamba dang ninje le la pocket
ya tumba nil chowa te le sa ba yin ka je chowa shu che zen don ni je te le la bol se
right so Geshe said that the current of the river, Rebecca, this was an analogy for a mind that has seen emptiness, that has seen the nature of reality. And what that does is it establishes a powerful current in the river for us, which makes it much easier to bring forth the minds of love and compassion in a full way to realization. Yeah.
Pena nyetil ko thaba chi bolon roke chi na tumba nyel chowa ka je le so so ga mari ba do ta nyemo
Yeah.
poge zo no yo ba ki su wo thong yo isa ko pa no le kanga che do no yo.
Oh yeah. Ko chula gimpa dawachi duarwa. Chula jimpachi. Right. So a hearer who realizes emptiness, konda nyentu di dene.
Se tumanyil thowa kaze cher brosuna. Akosara. Thaba koya la tabi deshi koya la nyemuji warawas. Te ko zuju yo bat kisu wo thong sarawas.
For example, a hearer who has seen emptiness, a Shravaka who has seen emptiness, then they can see very easily the end of affliction. They can see that there is an exhaustion to affliction. Similarly, the Bodhisattva practitioner can see, once the current of the stream of emptiness is established, that there is a way to an end of suffering, not just for oneself, but a way to an end for suffering of all sentient beings. This can reinforce the practices of love and compassion. Yes, I think now, does it make sense now?
Yeah, I think
Yeah, I
so.
also was a bit confused initially, but now it's making sense to me.
That would be really nice.
Yeah. 기분이 좋아야 되는데 죽나?
밑에 있어 지말을 비군이 두비 니지시에 대간지지나서 저와모 저기야.
Yeah, so Geshe said that actually this is what's behind Milarepa's instruction, which is having realized emptiness, generate compassion, right? Because it's so
Okay.
much more powerful. Yeah.
어다 대지가 대가 이두이를 저기서 뭐 넘어 비슷 동도 좋았어.
And Geshe said this way, right, establishing the current of the river first, this is the sharp faculty bodhisattva's way.
온보도 보때 마서는 좋아 누지를 세계화래서 고마자야도 하나 마서는 좋아.
So we
온보때 되네 여러 누지지.
Yeah, so we can think, Geshe said that maybe set aside the example of the river for a moment and think of the sharp faculty bodhisattva. He or she is going in the airplane, right? And that's the one who realizes emptiness first. The dull faculty bodhisattva, he or she is taking a car or maybe even walking, right? So it takes a lot longer. Yeah.
대니빠 가리찬이래서는 저도 또 많이 그 좋아해.
So what makes it so much more powerful is that initial realization of emptiness, right? That is so helpful.
Okay. Thank you so much. I just can't thank you enough, really.
TJ. Thanks so much, Rebecca. Thank you. So Annie was next.
My question is about the bodhicitta prayer, Jangchup Semchok Rinpoche.
Mm-hmm.
Where did that come from? And what is the context of it? Since it seems like such a summary of things.
Sure, Annie. Yep. Nātsu di Jiangshū Semchō Rinpoche mache panam chechochi chewa nyamba me bayang gone gondu pewa sho munam di kawa ne yongwa res, yongsa kung kare res, ane yang di neso chatsangwa nyamdu yopa di kandes chichons.
차송아 여보 다
Liu chubarwa. Yeah. So Geshe said, Annie, he cannot recall at the moment, but he thinks he knows where to look for the information, so he'll have to get back to you on that.
Okay, thank you.
Liu chupa gineso chatsangwa yopadi susung songa dabochi rwa di kunkareres chatsangwa nyamdu yopadi.
다 돼도 차송아 그 여봤잖아.
Liu chupa yopadi.
매매 다 돼도 나잉에시 오게 가시고 코러스 권해라.
그래?
나잉에시. 아마 나는 해봐요.
알레, 로스.
나잉에시.
Ngenche. Yeah.
코러스 권해라.
Yeah.
원래 저번들이 수요하래스는데.
알레.
이마 코러를 자발라 코러를 기저주니까 니나레스 요 수마리스.
알레. 디 칸데스 춘스 세포면 돼, sorry.
코러 되는 노카는 자야와 노지 거 이사송아.
Yeah.
야발로를 배수.
Ale. Okay, so I think I want to do it piece by piece because we're getting to a complicated story now. So what happened is, as Śāntideva was teaching this, we say that he kind of ascended into the air, right? And he was no longer visible when he was teaching the Bodhisattvacaryāvatāra. Dene shiwala ko tetsugua shiwala ko lochokla drosong.
shiwala ko loatasongwas no kana isara was kawaya hamako.
And to many, it looked like he dissolved into the sky, like nobody knew where Śāntideva was at all. And so then, because not many people had heard it, the monks at Nālandā, they had a doubt, like, is there actually a 10th chapter to this text or not? Like, is there actually one? However, fortunately, a good number of the monks possess the power of clairaudience. So clairaudience is like the divine ear. And they had been able to hear this last bit of the text. So they said, yes, there is a 10th chapter. So many months passed since the preaching of the Bodhisattvacaryāvatāra. And after those months had passed, word came to the monastery that actually Śāntideva was in South India. He was in South India.
아니 뭐 가시 로드 와서 파티가 지대는 시간.
And so, of course, a lot of people wanted to then go and visit Śāntideva because they wanted him to come back to the monastery, right? They wanted him to come back.
그만 건도 비야 다시 다 집회를 해서
So before they kicked him to the curb and then they wanted him back. Isn't that how it is with life, right? So they went and they wanted to beg Śāntideva to come back.
아니 지도표만 왔어. 당가 로게 요 말. 당가 가서 시행이 전부터 조지스.
So Śāntideva answered. He said, actually, I'm not going to come back. I don't need to come back because everything that I have to say is contained within this text of the Bodhisattvacaryāvatāra. And this is how the 10th chapter came to be heard. Then they Jiangsu Semchok. And so Geshe said that the fitting of these 10 chapters into this prayer for the arising of bodhicitta, the dedication, he's not sure if that happened prior to this incident or after. So he's going to check on that. Yeah, but the main reason that he explains it is as a mnemonic device, because it's a very short prayer. It's one that almost everyone knows if you've been to a few teachings, and it's an easy way to remember the meaning of all 10 chapters. Yeah. Shiwala. And so Geshe said that also, for those of you who are interested, there's a text that after Atisha had sort of ascended, he gave an instruction which only a few heard. He composed another text, which is the companion to the Bodhisattvacaryāvatāra. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the Sanskrit is the Shiksha Samuccaya. The Shiksha Samuccaya, the compendium of trainings, I believe is the English translation. And the beautiful thing about the compendium of trainings is it backs up every statement with a verse from the sutras, with a verse from the words of the Buddhas. So Geshe said that this text was actually said to be like a bedun, a hidden meaning. He hid the text somewhere. Geshe's not sure if he hid it in his kitchen. He's not sure if he hid it in the sky when he was there. But anyways, initially it was hidden. And so when we look at the stories of Śāntideva's life, there's also a story of some of the monks coming to meet him to retrieve this text of the Shiksha Samuccaya, the compendium of trainings. Yeah. But he didn't go back to Nālandā. Long story short, he didn't go back to Nālandā.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I just feel like the Śāntideva Bodhicaryāvatāra is so beautiful in verse.
Yeah, shloka den so halepe ningje bore dua semchukia. It has the beauty of the words, but Geshe is saying also the beauty of personal experience, right? That's why the text is so moving.
It's so different because you actually feel like someone's practiced them.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks so much, Annie. Thank you so much. So I don't see any hands, so I guess this brings us to the end of our lesson for today.
I think Carol had said she's coming back.
Oh, yes, Carol! I'm sorry. Yes, Carol. Are you still there? There was something. Thank you, Manushi.
Oh, but
Go
also
ahead.
Sue.
I have a question, but there's one in the thread, and Suzette had her hand up too. Okay?
Oh, okay. So maybe Suzette, you can go, and then Carol. Go ahead, Suzette.
So there's one in the thread from Michael.
Oh, okay. I can't see what's in the thread, unfortunately. Someone has to read it to me.
Yep. Sure. We can read it. Who was first?
Maybe as Manoshi looks that one up, let's go to Suzette first and give Manoshi some time to find it. Go ahead, Suzette.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
I don't really have a question, but, well, I guess it could be implied as a question. I just want to ask Geshe to please remain a very long time and continue teaching.
Geshe mutune shuya dan mutune sungshananya rendu shugiyos. Yes, I conveyed your request. Suzette.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yes, it's important to make this request from time to time. It really is. Geshe promises to teach until he dies. So that's something. Let's hope he has a long life along with that as well. I really hope. Yeah, yeah.
My apologies, it's not formal, but may you also have a very, very long life.
Yeah, No, thank you, Suzette. It was heartfelt, and I think Geshe really appreciated it. Yeah. So Manoshi,
Yes, the question is from Michael Brooker, who is still here. Would you like to say the question, Michael, or shall I?
You can go ahead if you want.
Okay. The question is there a precise definition for what is wholesome in this particular Buddhist tradition? Does it simply relate to activities that are in keeping with the 5 precepts? Or is there some other list of guidelines? Or is it not that precise?
Nanso gewe dang mi gewe le tse kandes chigyores perna soso tarpe dompa nga dang tunpe gi chawa karina gewe le jendak denso chatsangwa mi gewe le matok jen satsam dak mepa di kandes chik samlo tangores gewe le dang mi gewe le. Yes. Yeah. Geshe said, good question. Actually not so easy to put a border there. So he said his way of addressing this would be starting with the result. Karmas, which lead to happiness, are wholesome or virtuous karmas. Karmas which lead to suffering are unwholesome or non-virtuous karmas. So in fact, some texts give this method, and this is the most convenient method for determining wholesome and unwholesome. It's by looking from the perspective of the result. So Geshe said that he realizes, though, that looking at it just from the point of view of the result, this might not give us complete clarity because there's so many different types of activities and we might not necessarily be sure of the results. So then what we have to do is look at the various teachings that the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas gave on karma, and there's particular examples and instances of those teachings, something being wholesome and something being unwholesome. If we familiarize ourselves with that, we'll be able to develop a much clearer sense of what's wholesome and unwholesome.
That's great, thank you.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much.
Yeah,
so we have one question here, and then we'll go to Carol. Go ahead. Yeah.
I heard the term placement meditation, but I don't know what it means.
Yeah. So he's asking about placement meditation. What does that mean? Jugum seriadi donda kareresa.
Min jugo sena ndamada Geshe Sonam matuache. Ane ta mi pachingo ta tembo chine de achire.
Yeah.
Wana soju koinare. Ane ta mi pa karina tumbani re shomba re ijire tindito se tembo chine ndamada sonam matune de achi.
So Geshe is explaining that, we have different types of meditation. So analytical involves thinking about reasons for things. Placement meditation is not like that. Placement meditation means we take one object. So for example, it could be an image of the Buddha, and you place your mind on that, and you try to hold your mind on that single-pointedly. But also, if you have an understanding of love, you thought about the reasons, and then the feeling arises, holding your mind on that, that could also be placement meditation. So that's what it means. Cool. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome, my friend. You're welcome. Analytical meditation isn't necessarily reflecting on many reasons for something. Yeah. No worries. And they assist each other. The placement and analytical assist each other. Really, whether our placement meditation becomes successful or not depends upon training in analytical meditation, reasoning meditation as well. Yeah. So Carol, go ahead. Sorry.
Geshe said will eclipse wisdom in importance at a certain level of the Vajrayana.
Yeah.
Is he referring to a kind of emotional and conceptual plunge into the methods, or what? To explain. Thank you.
Gotcha, Carol.
And yes, do we need to say this for the teacher to stay live? Yes, Suzette, thank you so much.
Yes, no, it was very nice. It was nice. I think Geshe-la, he's very humble, but I think he appreciated the request. I do. Yeah, the ko tambo di Geshe-la tempo de di Suzette chiksu ne ko gaswa tu Geshe sa ane nipa di nganso nga gichok drodu tutsu chik roa sherab le roa depa ke chewa chagi res di khandes chik res di khadi res ganso tap ting sabmo drogo yo tsang depa halepe shukchambo gogo yo res di khandes chik res
다 shito nola yo re da ngaji na shito nola yo re jibare
yeah
pena shira yela mela ti kadi na chewa shi kadi na to pa sa tin chewa shira chiwo yo no so 하고 서로
yeah
내가 땡보지 좀 하지
yeah
든지잖아
yeah
배만 도와고 누구야 뭐지 되면 도와스
right so it goes a little bit to what you said, Carol, about kind of fully immersing in the methods. So what Geshe-la was saying was, in fact, he gave a caveat. He said, I mentioned Vajrayana, but probably in certain instances in sutra as well. There's a kind of discriminating wisdom, a discriminating awareness, which is thinking, is it like this or is it like that? Yes, it's like this, it's not like that. Kind of developing more and more understanding. One can get caught up in the conceptualizations of that kind of discriminating awareness, discriminating wisdom. If one becomes too caught up in that, one never engages with depth in the method, in the practice. So in that case, right, when that discriminating wisdom is too predominant, faith becomes more important. Yep. When we speak of Vajrayana, of Tantra, we speak of 4 principal causes of siddhi, of attainment. The first of those is unwavering faith, an unwavering faith. The second is a wisdom free of doubt. A wisdom free of doubt. The third is stable samadhi, stable concentration. The fourth, respecting the secrecy of Vajrayana. So Geshe is teasing me. He says that means you don't go carrying a big mala when you go for your walk. Sometimes it's the only time I have to finish the mantras. Anyway, yeah. So yeah. Yeah. And this is another context for faith becoming more important than wisdom. Wisdom, from the perspective of a beginner, it can be very difficult to bring forth this high quality wisdom. Whereas with faith in Tantra, one can go from being a beginner to realization in one life. So that's another context. So a story about this, if people are into it. Are people into it? Yes. Okay. He said, sorry if some of you have heard this before. So people from regions of Tibet, like where Geshe is from, it would take them It would take them a few months to go to Lhasa to see the Jokang, to see the most important image of the Buddha. It would take months of a journey, right? Especially back in the day, right? You didn't have cars and good roadways. So this involves ascending and descending all of these mountain passes to get to Lhasa. So it's a very long journey. And so recently Geshe was very moved by the story of a man who carried his mother on his back all the way from their remote region to Lhasa so that she could offer homage to the Buddha. But that's not the story that deals with this issue. The story that deals with this issue is the one that many of you have heard. So there was an old woman. She was not able to travel to Lhasa on pilgrimage. So when her son was traveling to Lhasa on business, she said, please bring me at least one precious relic, from the Jo temple. He had to go to and from Lhasa, from home to Lhasa many times, but because his mind was immersed in business and also because he was a little bit lazy, he would consistently forget his mother's request. So as he was returning from Lhasa, then when he could finally see his home in the distance, then finally he would be like, darn it, I forgot the thing that mother requested me to bring back. So it was only when he was close to home that he would remember what she asked. So as he was kind of a little bit worried, feeling really bad, he was kind of thinking like, what am I going to do? You know, mother's expecting something and I wasn't able to fulfill this wish. So he saw the skull of a dog. He saw the skull of a dog sitting in the sand. So he took a tooth out of the skull and he polished it very beautifully. And then he presented it to his mother and he said, this is a holy tooth of our teacher, the Lord Buddha, and I brought this back specially for you. His mother had complete faith. She immediately prostrated to the tooth, made offerings to it, and lifted up her heart and rejoiced. As she did this, rays of light emanated from the dog's tooth and produced authentic relics. So Geshe said that when he thinks of relics, this is the main way that he chooses to think about it. The efficacy, I did say that word correctly, right? Efficacy? The efficacy, thank you. The efficacy of the relics is mostly related to the faith of the students that view them, more than the relics themselves. Anyways, long story short, for us beginners who aren't able to necessarily give rise to that very refined type of wisdom, if we are able to give rise to unwavering faith, this can sometimes bring forth very great results. More to talk about in that vein, but we'll leave a further explanation for another time. Yeah. So Geshe said that in terms of those 4 points we mentioned about an effective practice of Tantra, he thinks 3 of those, the first 3, could be carried over to your practice of Sutra as well. It's just this last point about secrecy that you wouldn't have in Sutra. Yeah. So we can think of these as the 4 causes that lead to common and uncommon siddhis or attainments. this.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Mare lapachi kere karejisa. Dave, go ahead. Can
There you go.
anyone hear him?
Yeah, no, there you go.
Oh, now I hear you. Yep.
Thank you so much. It was a great relief to me personally to hear that the fundamental nature of the mind is separate from the delusions.
Yeah. Kotes lele chaso nganso semgi ngo tingsa modi rua kandes lagore nyumong le jawa yores di hakone semju kiangane duas. Yes. And Geshe has absolute 100% confidence this is the case.
Yeah. So it led me into, because Geshe often guides us into becoming familiar with the fundamental nature of the mind and then generating bodhicitta from there, it seems to me.
Yes.
And so I just wonder to what extent can we try to do all of our practice from that? Like, does it confuse our mind with the fundamental nature of its own nature by trying to inject conceptuality and so forth? Like, how can we do that?
How to tap into the fundamental nature of your mind, or can you tap into the fundamental nature of the mind as the jumping off point for any practice, just like we did for bodhicitta?
Yeah. And can we, like, the fundamental nature of the mind probably beyond conceptuality, so adding conceptuality is part of the recitation of words and meanings and so on. Does that confuse our own understanding of this fundamental nature, or how do we combine them?
Gotcha. Okay. Nganso di semgi ngo di rwa. Nganso semgi ngo senior la tene. Tene Geshe la nganso ngunjo gi gomja ya mambo chik nganso sem lele cha. Tene semgi ngo semgi rangshin chik drone. Tene nganso di ne jangshu gi sem kiegire duas. Korangi chiwa dires. Nganso semgi ngo semgi rangshin di nyamlen kariyana. Perna jangshu gi sem parshana semgi yunten jendak chik. Semgi ngo ne kea droya chik yores. Di yana yang semgi ngo kandes lagore ting sabmodi tokpe semle drawa yores. Nganso tokpa chik kena dene semgi ngo la drogires. Di yana dene semgi ngo ne semgi yunten jendak chik kandes kegores.
Kares.
Dila matola yamandu.
다 대도 세 뭐 걸어 뚜바요래요 말아봤어. 갈래 뚜비게 세 요조로고 좋아지. 예서 뭐 가리나 요아슈 뭐 지와요.
So Geshe said that yes, the fundamental nature of the mind is beyond conceptual thoughts. Ko topa mepe semine topa yagadanso kesa yongsa dabochi kredwa. But it can be the ground for the arising of the conceptual thoughts that lead to realization. Does that answer your question, Dave?
It helps. Yeah, it helps me to think that yes, it's possible to do this, and I wouldn't be ruining my fundamental nature of the mind by trying to impose conceptuality to it.
I see. Yeah, gotcha. Then nganso tokpe mepe semgi ngo de tokpa kiene roa semgi ngo trola drogyo mares. Yes, no, it's true. It would not damage the fundamental nature of your mind to develop those conceptual thoughts. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Go Tongson Tone. Yep. Yeah. Right. So the mind that has the direct realization of emptiness, Toni tope sherab di topa mepe semrebe. Right. Let me rephrase this. This direct realization of emptiness itself is non-conceptual. It is non-conceptual. The mind, from the beginning, has the potential for that single-pointed realization of emptiness, but somehow it's not able to bring it forth, despite having the potential. First, we have to bring forth from that fundamental mind conceptual thoughts, sort of contemplating emptiness, sort of thinking about emptiness. Tsemitobadi. Yeah. So through our study and contemplation of emptiness, the lack of clarity, the confusion that we have about emptiness will be dispelled. Once that lack of clarity or confusion falls away, we are left with kind of this pristine, unconfused emptiness. Then the non-conceptual mind must realize that. So prior to that direct realization of emptiness, right, we've had a pramana. We've had a valid cognition of emptiness. That comes through the study and thinking about. Yeah. So, tope kabla tsemetopa. Yeah. So that pramana, that valid cognition, it's like we've kind of seen the emptiness, like seeing that plant that's sitting on Geshe-la's table, but we've seen it in a room that is darkened, right? So we haven't been able to appreciate it in its completion. So we can cognize that there's a plant there or that there are flowers there, but there's kind of a vividness or clarity that's lacking because of the darkness. Yeah. Topa mepa. Yeah. Topa mepa. Yeah. If you turn on the light and you're able to see the plant or the flower unencumbered in its complete clarity, there's a conceptual mind that sees that. But then we let go of that conception and we have a non-conceptual experience of it. That's like the direct realization of emptiness. So we can't have that experience completely denigrating the conception, right? Because it was the conceptual mind that led us there. But eventually, the conceptual mind falls away. Yeah. Right. So it's not like you have hair on your head that you want to shave off and you shave yourself bald and the hair is totally gone, right? We can't think of that experience as being completely separate or parted from the conception because it led us there. Samba dabodua topadi. Before it was a conceptual mind, through clearing away all of the various layers of appearance, we were able to have a non-conceptual experience of it. Yeah, so it's just like you have some clay or like you have some kind of earth. If you want to make it into something useful like a pot, you have to fashion it. You have to fashion it into the correct shape. Are you looking for the loo? It's right there. Yeah.
So it would be fine to try to recruit the fundamental nature of the mind into a wholesome conceptual path.
Say again, Dave.
So what I'm getting is, so Geshe is talking about using conceptuality that eventually becomes non-conceptual.
Yeah.
I'm thinking but it would also be correct to try to recruit the fundamental nature of the mind into that conceptual path.
Nanso sem gingo de tokpe sem dang drewasone dene lambda pocha tugiribes. Correct. Yes, you
Okay.
could do this.
this.
He said, think about it as a bridge. The conceptual is a bridge to the non-conceptual, especially
Okay.
with emptiness.
Okay, thank you. What I want to do is to do the visualization of the all-encompassing yoga,
Yeah.
which combines with conventional and ultimate bodhicitta into that fundamental nature of the mind.
Yeah.
That really inspires me.
Ko sem gi ngodi deneng anso di dawe den dang dorje gi gom jaya di yore rwa. Dene di nganso sem gi ngodi dang rewa so ne dene gom jaya tes selbo chagire du sa gi du sa. Correct. Yes, yes, you could do like that.
Ah, okay, I like that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dave. And I think as we're almost at past, we'll leave it there. So thank you, everybody. Everyone who wanted to ask a question got to ask, right? I didn't leave anyone out.
Can I just say something?
Sure.
That was such brilliant translation. I'm just completely overwhelmed.
You're kind, Rebecca.
I'm not kind. That was
it's trying to keep up with
toughest
Geshe,
stuff
but
I have ever heard.
you're thank you so much. Yeah, sometimes I try to keep up with Geshe and I succeed. So yeah, sometimes that happens.
Oh my God.
I'm grateful for those
so
moments.
Difficult. Thank you so much. We can't thank you enough.
Thank you so
Really.
much, Rebecca. Very much
Unbelievable.
appreciated.
Unbelievable.
Oh, and Gedrup, congratulations on your new job.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I appreciate that, folks. And thank you, everybody, especially for joining us today. Really excited on the first day of this new topic and really looking forward to seeing all of you next Sunday and maybe on Saturday. See you later. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Carol didn't get.
Geshe, have a long life.
Have a long
Tuzu
life.
Rinpoche.
Have a long life.
I have
He's
a-
going to stay as long as he can. He'll stay as long as he can.
I have one question. It's just very a yes or no answer. The dog tooth.
He really
right?
has to go to the loo, Carol.
Okay, that's perfect. From the loo, he can shout. The dog tooth, right?
Yeah.
That can be an analogy for a teacher who can give amazing teachings, but is actually quite corrupt.
He really has to go, Carol. I don't want to keep him.
You can go. This is for later.
I'll get back to you. Yeah, I'll get back to you. Drosha. Yeah. I'll email you the answer, Carol. I got your question. You're asking a teacher who gives amazing teachings but is maybe imperfect. Is this like the dog's tooth, right?
Yeah, unethical, all sorts of things. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
No.
just yes or no answer.
Gotcha. Yes, I'll get you an
Thank you
answer.
so
I'll get
much.
you an answer. Take care, everybody.
much.
Thanks.